Here it is, the front page of the Telegraph. This is the Home Secretary, Suella Braverman. Police must investigate every theft. This was followed by a pledge by the police that they would indeed pursue all leads. Let's talk to former Met Police Detective Chief Inspector Mike Neville. Hello, Mike. Now, the police are saying, yeah, we're going to start pursuing leads, following leads. Suella Braverman said, could you please start investigating thefts? I mean, what next? The fire brigade will pledge to put out fires. What is going on that it is a story that the police say they will investigate thefts?
Well, it's quite incredible, isn't it? But just like you've been saying with your other guests, that you had somebody who's now working for Amnesty International who was in charge of the asylum policy. I think you've got many chief constables who don't really think crime's interesting. They're far interested in other things, like woke virtue signalling. I mean, you have to look at some of the chief constables, and you could interchange them with Labour MPs, to be honest. I mean, just by way of example, Kevin, my expertise is catching people with images, and I sent an email to 43 chief constables 3 weeks ago, and I said, look, I can help you to double the detection rate for burglary and theft and all sorts of other offences by these simple measures. Only 4 have responded in 3 weeks. It's like crime is not an issue. And I've got to say, I do feel some pity for the Home Secretary here, that she's dealing, it's all part of the blob. The chief constables are all part of that, Guardian reading elite, the criminals are victims of society, I think. That's what they think.
All this plays into my belief that we keep hearing all these police chiefs, particularly Sir Mark Rowley here in London, the Met Police Chief, pledging to clean up their forces, that there'll be no more sex scandals, there'll be no more WhatsApp groups, police who transgress will be immediately dismissed, and so on and so forth. And yet, in these respects, the police forces get worse and worse and worse. Crime detection, convictions of criminals is like next to zero now. They're not cleaning up the police forces, and crime is getting worse and worse. They're not solving crimes. What on earth is going on?
It's simply that the whole police force has shifted, Kevin. When I joined in 1989, about half the men on parade who passed off had medals because we're all ex-soldiers or armed forces or whatever. They've deliberately got rid of such people. You trained at a place which was really based on an army barracks, and there was ex-guardsmen employed as sergeants to march you around and get a bit of discipline. And the real focus was on keeping people safe and being a good officer and making arrests. Now it's all changed so that everybody goes to university, don't get marched around. It's all very, nicey-nicey. And there's no drill sergeants anymore, and there's no focus on crime, and they're recruiting university graduates rather than ex-soldiers. Now, I would say this, I would predict that your viewers would rather have a load of ex-soldiers making their streets safer than a load of ex-students. It's simple things that would make a difference. And I did the Freedom of Information Act request that found that 70% of the Metropolitan Police had not arrested one person in a year. That was, to me, it's quite incredible.
That's amazing.
It's beyond belief. It's beyond belief, that sort of thing. We know, they've got business like mental health. Rowley's taking some action about all the mental health to deal with, but it's a lack of focus, it really is, on crime.
And 25% of coppers all over the country never leave the police station. They're effectively desk-bound clerks. Why don't you get them out on the street, solve a few crimes? More what cops are supposed to do, isn't it? Meanwhile, while they don't investigate thefts, while they don't investigate car thefts or burglaries, they're on you like a ton of bricks if you put something nasty on Twitter. Video last week in Wales of 2 officers visiting a guy who admittedly has a bit of a record of, shall we say, provocative tweeting, but I don't care. I don't think his tweets are very nice, but we have freedom of speech. 2 coppers there, they don't actually want to arrest him. They want him to come to the police station because they want to talk to him about his way of thinking. What kind of police chief thinks his officers should be visiting members of the public to tell them, we think your thinking is all wrong, come to see us at the police station? I mean, what the hell is that about?
It is a state of mind, Kevin. I would give you some hope, though. I was with Thames Valley Police last week, and the chief constable spoke, and he actually spoke a bit of common sense and setting targets around more arrests and things like this, and more common sense policing. So, I was actually given a ray of hope last week. But this business of the police in the tweets and stuff, it has got to stop. And I think the Home Secretary really has got to sort of impose on these police chiefs. But you've got decades of the wrong people getting the wrong promotions to clear up and sort up and start recruiting the right people. Now, I spoke to a guy called Kevin Hurley, who's ex-commander. He often is in the media. And he said to me, look, me and you could go and take over Brixton Police Station tomorrow, and we'd still struggle to get them to do things. It's really hard. It's the decades of mismanagement, and it's the public being failed because thefts are just not being solved. Burglaries, people only report burglaries, I think, because they need an insurance number. They don't report a burglary in the hope that the police might catch the criminal. And that's even when they've got like a Ring doorbell or some CCTV in the house which shows the guy's face. Or their Apple phone gets stolen and they're tracking it from address to address, and the police aren't taking action. This is where the Home Secretary is right, but she needs to absolutely crack down on them and sack a few, because they need to go, because they're not achieving what they should achieve, which is making people feel safe.
Yeah, patrol the streets, not the tweets. Well said, Mike. Good to talk to you. Mike Neville there, former Met Police Detective Chief Inspector.